'cause he rules the earth. He can do with it as he please. And if things don't change soon, he will.
The Obama Deception is now out. You can watch it in super high quality at prisonplanet.tv or order the super high quality DVD, now shipping out at Infowars.com. And I hope people will go there. You can also call toll free 888-253-3139. The new film is titled New World Order, a See-Think film. And just before we forget the time we have together, because it'll fly, Luke Meyer and Andrew, tell us specifically when it's coming out, when it's going to air on the Independent Film Channel.
It's going to be in mid-April, I think around...
I think about a month from now it'll be on VOD on IFC, and then later this summer it'll be in the regular broadcast rotation.
Actually, sometime in May, I think the broadcast rotation will start.
Yeah. And then the DVD will be out sometime this fall.
You guys just come in and run the camera if they're going to move around. Let's just do it that way. I'll direct right here on air right now. Okay, thanks. Just have to do that. We're just working out doing the live TV show in here, and we're going to get more cameras in here, some mounted on the ceiling and other things for TV like a headpiece and things like that someday. What about all this pre-promotion I've been seeing for the film?
Well, this was the world premiere last Friday night, and so there's a lot of promotion like that you were part of where you drove around Austin on Friday, just for the world premiere of the film. There probably will be more promotion when it's going to come out on IFC, but that's kind of all I know about right now.
Yeah.
Now, should folks just visit the New World Order, themovie.com, or is there a See-Think site they should check out?
Well, you can go to seethink.com, and there's a small page for it there, and then you can link to the main New World Order, themovie.com from there, or you can go straight to the movie site, whichever's best.
Mm-hmm.
I specifically want to go over some reviews. I saw 50-50 positive reviews, negative reviews. I mean, even the negative reviews said they like the film because they took away from it that we're delusional, and I wanted to be on record with the filmmakers and read part of a negative review by Scott Von Dovak, I believe is how you pronounce it, and this was out of nerve.com.
Yeah, I read that one.
So let me read some of this. It says, welcome to the New World Order, where 9/11 was an inside job and secretive elitist organizations called the Bilderberg Group, the Trilateral Commission, and or the Council on Foreign Relations. Now, we explain there are different governmental systems, just like we have a House and a Senate. It doesn't mean either one of them doesn't exist. You know, Washington, D.C. exists, the House, the Senate, the judiciary, the legislative, the executive exist. And it goes on, our only hope is a ragtag band of conspiracy theorists, anarchists, and anti-globalists led by the mad prophet of the InfoWars, Alex Jones. And then it goes on to say that Meyer and Neal aren't concerned about the reality of these beliefs, and they don't present any counter-arguments or talking head rebuttals. Actually, there are people in there rebutting. They don't have to. In a way, New World Order is an extension of their previous film, Darkon, which was about live-action role-playing gamers. The movie's tagline was, everybody wants to be a hero, which could just as easily apply to this one. You don't need a PhD to figure out the psychology at work here. We'd all like to think that our lives are important. That's the classic yuppie thing. You know, none of us are important. Let's just have hopeless lives. It's impossible to be politically active. And if you can convince yourself that you're one of the few in the know about what's really going on in the world, one of the few fighting for good, fight against forces bent on destroying you, well, then you have a lot in common with Jones, Radowski, Jackson, and the rest. And then he goes on to say, I'm insane. Basically, Bilderberg didn't exist. I was imagining cars following us. I was imagining Secret Service behind bushes. Did a car follow us?
It's one of the most kind of amusing things to me that, like, sometimes people are like, so is a car really following you? Or like, does the Bilderberg Group really exist? And I'm almost like, yeah, man, like, not only do they exist, they admit they exist now. And, there was absolutely no question. This is something I wanted to talk about on the show because I wanted to make it clear. And we had a discussion that night at the hotel room about it. You know, there's no question, first of all, in my mind, that there were people the night before at the bar who were in there who were, doing some kind of recon of some sort. And then the next morning, there's absolutely no question that we were being, in my opinion, we were being followed. I mean, we took about 9 turns. That guy tailed us all the way out. So we took 9
And then
turns.
he got out and he was 6'4", built.
He's a big guy, yeah.
You know, in a dress outfit. I mean, it's the classic FBI / Army commando. I mean, he was either FBI or he was an Army commando. Well, I mean, specifically,
that's something that, and I felt like we showed it pretty accurately.
But I mean, how can they not show guys with black sunglasses in police vehicles with police wearing black glasses pointing at us, and those don't exist? Yeah. See, I'm insane. I just want to be a hero. But none of this exists.
And that's part of, that's part of, the power of interpretation. I think a lot of people will come to this film with preconceived ideas, and I think that's why you're going to see a broad variety of responses to it. Some people are going to come with preconceived notions that this is all whack job stuff, and they're going to leave, and maybe it won't change their mind, and maybe they're going to come in believing all of it, and maybe they'll leave believing all of it. I mean, what we hope is that we did show what you guys were like, what your experiences had been, and why you believed in what you believed. And through that, to humanize you, to take you out of this kind of cliched environment where you're just kind of ranting at the margins, which is really a danger for your message, and so, I hope that it would affect things positively in that way.
Luke, comments along those lines?
Yeah. When we were having test screenings, it was very interesting that people would watch the same film, and some people would have a totally negative reaction to everything in there. They would think that everything in the whole film wasn't true. And then there would be other people that in the same audience that would think everything in there was totally true and totally, that it was the beginning of a whole bunch of information that was out there. And then there would be other people in between who would have a transformative experience in watching the film, both directions. So I think it's interesting that this film, I hope shows a very honest picture of how things happen when you're out there trying to uncover stuff, investigating what's going on out there. And if people see that objective, honest view into what happens.
I mean,
it's up to them to draw their own conclusions.
That Nerve.com article pisses me off because it's like the guy betrays himself as bias in the first couple sentences of his review. Mm-hmm. If you walk into a review and are like, and use those like derogatory terms that are clearly like, pigeonholing people and like clearly he sat through the whole movie. He went into the movie thinking that way about them, and continued to think about them that way, and didn't care to try to look at what he was seeing on screen, didn't care to look at the people who were in front of him and understand why they believe what they believe.
Well, Andrew, let me make this point here, and that's why I'm making a big deal out of this, because it isn't just this review. I probably saw 20 reviews or more, and I have them here in the stack. And half of them were, these guys seem wild, but a lot of it's checking out nowadays. And they link to a few mainstream news articles. Hey, here's Time Magazine. Here's others admitting they're setting up a Bank of the World, just like the conspiracy theorist always said. And they said they would use an economic crisis to do it. I mean, this is mass delusion. You guys were there at the Hyatt we were staying at a few miles away. And Davis, who's one of your partners, he is off at another screening of this right now, so he couldn't be here. And he comes over to me and goes, these guys are cops. My dad's a cop, and he's now a famous private detective, but he didn't want to get into that. The point is that, he's from Chicago. And I go, well, no, I know they're cops. This happens everywhere we go. We're at the bar. Every time we're eating, big guys, 45 years old, 6'5", in suits, act like they're with you, and they walk up and say, hey, do you want to attack the State Department with us? And I'm like, just start laughing at him, saying, no, we're here journalists to cover this. And like, because I really want to help you go attack government buildings right now. Now, if I would have been drunk or something and said, just joking, I would have been arrested, have been on the news that I was an Al-Qaeda guy planning terror. That this happens every week when you hear about some cell they busted and it comes out later. It was at a bar and somebody just joked. So you guys were there while feds are on us. You're witnessing this happening. Then, as we get kicked out of the other, base at Bilderberg, I am walking around videotaping. Security comes up and says, don't videotape. We say, okay. They follow us into the bar, and they say, we've had people try to steal things by pulling fire alarms. Rob Jacobson's with me. You guys are up in the hotel room. I'm about to do Coast to Coast AM. And I say, okay, finish eating my hamburger. And then I go upstairs, and the fire alarm goes off. And, And then I'd been outside an hour before shooting video of the hotel, and there were these workmen with these big work trucks going, yeah, we're going to, pull it at about 1 a.m. And I didn't know what they were talking about at the time, but after that, they did the fire alarm for whatever reason on purpose. They came up to us and asked us about fire alarms. And then it says here, I'm a kook, crazy person, and there's no cars following me. There's no Secret Service. I mean, let me just read the quote, and then I'll shut up about this. It says, paranoid delusions are contagious in New World Order, and Alex Jones is patient zero. And it goes on. It says, his face a puffy fright mask of pop-eyed outrage. Joan leads his minions to a hotel where the annual Bilderberg conference is taking place. He sees his enemies behind every tree and around every corner. He's continually evading cars he imagines are pursuing him, and at one point announces that a nearby bare-shirted bicyclist is clearly Secret Service. When a fire alarm goes off in the hotel, just as he used to call into a talk show, it's simply more confirmation that they're out to get him. And then it goes into how I'm this delusional purpose. It says he's living in a movie in his mind, is evident from the references to the Matrix, Star Wars, and even Ghostbusters that pepper his ranch. Now let's stop there. I'm shooting footage separately for the Obama film that we were already thinking about making and a JFK film, separately away from Bilderberg. It's on video. It's we have this footage. I don't even know if I put that part in the Obama deception, or maybe it's in your film, actually, Secret Service coming over. The police come over, or maybe I've watched this so much in my studio.
You mean in Chantilly, in Virginia?
Well, no, I mean, I can't tell where I saw it. I know I was there because I've seen this footage so much. It's in my film and in your film, similar footage. I'll put it out on the web. The point is that, I guess I was just watching it the other day in the studio.
Well, I mean, I think people should whatever, that Nerve.com review, okay, so screw him. But I think if most people who watch the movie, I don't think what he says there is what comes across in those scenes. So no,
but I'm saying
sometimes people
this ties in though to the mass delusion that I'm talking about. I'm the same one, but just finishing my babbling point, I was trying to figure out where the footage is, or your footage, my footage, or so much of it gets confusing. The point is we're at the Capitol. And then we're at the White House. And everywhere we go, we should put a video out on this. They run up and say, turn your cameras off. They run over and say, you can't film the White House. And then we start walking around, and these Secret Service guys come out of the gated area. They follow us around, all around D.C. for about 30 minutes. And so I guess you guys were with us because it's in the film.
Yeah, we were there. And actually, of course, there was actually just a battle in New York City about a year ago about camera rights on the street.
No, but the Secret Service has been caught, and so have the feds, following bike rights groups. They've been caught following anti-death penalty groups. I mean, my point is, you were there, and that was Secret Service following us, and Secret Service did come out and tell us to turn our cameras off. I mean, am I making that up?
In D.C.?
Yeah.
I wasn't there when Secret Service came up in D.C., but, if you have footage of it, we weren't there. Well,
then how does he talk about that here from seeing the film?
I don't know, because remember in our film, we're in front of the White House.
Capitol Police come up.
The Capitol Police, and you talk to the Capitol Police guy, and you're like, appreciate you, sir.
Yeah, no,
then
you
we
were
go down
there,
below.
But then guys come out. I guess you didn't see them. They come out on bicycles and start following us around.
I didn't see them. There's a shot in the movie of the guys that you had seen across the street.
No, but you saw the guys at the hotel. You saw them follow us. I'm telling you, I saw them come out.
Okay. No, we didn't get footage of that. I was on the DC.
I mean, is it a conspiracy theory to say they have Secret Service around the White House?
No, it's not a conspiracy theory at all. That's what I think is funny, is that so many of these facts that are generally accepted by most everyone, when they come through the lens of a certain demographic, basically become a conspiracy theory. And in fact, actually, one of the things that was sort of, we were kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place just in terms of how we describe the movie. The term conspiracy theorist in and of itself is a problematic term. And I think perhaps a new term, people should start using a new term. The conspiracy theorist tag immediately kind of devalues.
It's meant to put you in a box and say these are crazy people. It
kind of annoys me that we've had to describe it that way for people to understand what the movie's about. But
it's a stereotype.
It's a stereotype, and I think that
it's like calling Galileo a conspiracy theorist because he said that the Earth was not the center of the universe.
Right, and also, but if you just break down even conspiracy theorists, what that term means. It means that people are theorizing about conspiracies that may be happening. Now, humans conspire, and this is something we talked about a lot. We weren't able to get much of it into the film, but like human beings have been conspiring for centuries. It's something.
Look at Caesar being killed.
It's
the progress of human history.
Yeah, not only that. I mean, look, we all conspire in our everyday lives. We conspire to get like our girlfriend to do what we want. We conspire. We conspire in little ways every way. It's like to assume that in government, at least to some extent, there isn't a certain amount of conspiratorial behavior going on is a dangerous state of affairs.
Here's what the first commenter said on this review. It says, I don't think this guy actually saw the film because in it, Jones talks about how many idiots like the guy say it makes the world so fun for them to believe in the New World Order. But in all honesty, they say that the New World Order is trying to do is worse than Hitler and the Nazis. So this guy who wrote the blog would tell a Jew that they are just trying to make themselves feel better by saying Hitler tried to kill them. Don't think so. Nice blog. I mean, look, all I'm trying to say is the Bilderberg Group is real. We were followed. This stuff did happen.
Absolutely.
There was a small lake right by the hotel. There was a guy out there all day fishing and catching nothing, watching us. I mean, we had guys in clown masks.
I don't think most
following us.
I don't think most of the people.
Did you see the clown mask?
No.
You weren't there enough days. You were on a different part of it.
No, I didn't see that. But I think that most people that watch this movie aren't going to question those facts. And actually, but I think that discussion that you see going on right there, even on Nerve.com, I think it's good that people are having these arguments. I think it's good, if the film, pushes people to get into this discussion, it's a positive thing, and I think like, Alex, because you're bombastic or whatever, sometimes maybe people get fired up about it, but I think it's a good thing if people are coming out and having a discussion about, and I think because in a way, we tried to present like, the softer side of Alex Jones from time to time. I think it's good for people to see that too, because like to turn you into a human being, to understand where your ideas come from, to understand the history of your journalism is an important thing, and to understand what it's like to be behind the scenes.
Sure. Well, it was great meeting you guys, and I hope I get to meet you and see you again in the future. And we're going to come back for a few more segments, but I want to say you were truthful about what you said you were going to do. That's one of the first times it's ever happened with a national production, so I commend you and thank you. But I would like to give the guy at Nerve.com and you guys, here's Time Magazine titled The New World Order. And this came out. It says a new bank of the world will rule the United States and will basically pay our taxes to it. It says a central bank of the world to knock heads when needed and to control the United States. So I want to present you with the conspiracy theory of Time Magazine. Of course, they're saying this is the solution. So there's the New World Order. And then here's one from the Financial Times, and now for world government. And in this is published by the Bilderberg Group.
Right, so this is an interesting thing, right? I mean, just like the whole...
they say world government's good here. We're going to come back. We're going to break. They say the world government exists. They kept it secret for our own good, and the bankers are going to rule us. So I want to present you and Nerve and everybody else with, again, more delusions. According to Nerve, I probably made this up and typed it up myself. Here's the Times of London. We'll be right back.